Welcome to the Millennial Lawyer Podcast.
Welcome to the Millennial Lawyer Podcast with New York litigation attorney Mark Shirian. Mark specializes in various areas of personal injury cases, employment law, encompassing employment discrimination and harassment, sports and entertainment law, copyright disputes, as well as civil and intricate commercial litigation. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and for today's episode, we have a special guest, attorney Adam Leitman Bailey, one of New York's most successful and prominent real estate attorneys. All right, Mark, good to see you.
Good seeing you too, Kevin.
Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so to start, why don't Adam tell us all how you met Mark and how your professional relationship has evolved over the years.
The real story or the one that I talk about? I'm just kidding around.
Let's see. I don't know what rated this podcast is, so.
I was working at a hotel bar now. That's a song. Where did we meet, Mark? I don't know. I don't remember. It's been so many years.
So I had interviewed for Adam's firm. That was the first time that we met.
Oh, you interviewed here?
I interviewed here. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, I forgot that.
Initially I interviewed.
Thank you. This isn't going to be a good story then. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, initially I interviewed. It didn't turn into any sort of internship. So this was my first year of law school. I was interviewing with you for a position. It didn't work out, but we always stayed in touch. Adam lectured several times at my law school, at New York Law School. So I've always stayed in touch with Adam. And Adam, I don't know if you remember this, but before I actually started my firm, I was also working downtown at the time. And Adam has always been gracious with his time, whether it's with me or for, other young attorneys who are looking for advice. And I met with you about starting my own practice. And
that's what I thought would be the story be. I remember advising you on and not pushing you, but giving you the courage, like in The Wizard of Oz, to go out and start your own firm and have the guts to do it. And you did it. And then I remember sending you a note or champagne or something of how proud I was of you that you started your own firm.
Yeah, I think, Kevin, that's like the PG-13 version of the story.
Well, I didn't send you a woman or anything. I sent you a bottle, Is there an R-rated version? I don't remember that one either.
I don't think so. I think that's the story. That's the
story for another,
I don't have any, those. Not a drinker, smoker, no drugs, all that.
And then I guess we just got the story. That's just the story then.
Yeah. I see Beau Biden and I'm like, wow, we have different lives. Even though Joe went to my law school and I went to school with his brother. Beau is very straight-laced.
Okay. Adam, you've had a distinguished career in real estate law. Could you walk us through some of the key moments in your journey, both professionally and personally, that sort of helped shape your path?
Where do you want to start? It's so convoluted. And I was born in Bayside, Queens. 1970. I came out of law school. I couldn't get a job for many months. I graduated in May and I couldn't get a job till March. And once I got a job, I didn't look back. My boss used to come in. I was at Winsig and Winsig, making $30,000 a year. And he used to come in and say, do you ever go to sleep? Do you ever go home? My view was, I got my first job doing exactly what I wanted to do, real estate transactional, real estate litigation. And I wasn't ever losing a job again. I wasn't ever going to be home, I wasn't ever not having a job again. And I was fixated on being great and taking off and nothing was getting in my way again. Because it took me so long to get a full-time job. I was so motivated and my bosses were like, wow, they had no idea what they caught, took off from there. My boss became a client eventually.
Oh, nice. Do you have any, memorable or impactful case that you've handled that stands out?
And the ones that everybody knows about, I don't usually talk about those because they're so out there. I like the ones that give me a subject, but I like the ones that no one knows about. Those are the ones that I like talking about. The ones that are in every newspaper or like beating Donald Trump or the ground zero mosque or getting everyone out of their contracts because of the law I found in 1968. Those ones, everyone, those are already beaten to death. The ones where you help the little old lady, those I like talking about.
Okay. Mark, what do you think? What should we give him? What topic should we give him?
I want to hear about the old lady.
So Ms. Rivas she was a dentist and she had a building in Brooklyn, a poor part of Brooklyn. She really wanted to buy her first building and that's where she worked out of. And she wanted to buy it. And the owner's son inherited the building. I guess the owner died and he was a drunk and her sister owned a bodega that sold alcohol on the corner. So they said, well, we'll give you a tab and that will eventually meet the amount of a certain portion of the down payment. The real estate attorney, the transactional attorney, not us, never drew up a contract, but never recorded the deed. I never, they had a contract, but never recorded the deed to close. Even after they came to the terms and even after basically had sold the property. But even after they sold the property, he still owed money to Pure Rivas. So he just kept the deed in escrow in his safe. No attorney should ever keep a deed in escrow in their safe. You record the deed once you close. You got to record the deed immediately. You can't keep the deed once you close on a property. In other words, when you buy a property, it's got to be recorded immediately. And it takes about 48 hours from the closing when the title company takes your deed to close in New York City. And this is Brooklyn. So I get a call from the attorney at a crazy hour. And it's definitely between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. because I go to sleep and I don't go to sleep with any gadgets near me. So it's not that crazy of an hour, unless it's a weekend. It may have been a weekend. But all I know is I said, well, we need to be online at the Brooklyn Recorder's office at 6 a.m. the next morning recording this deed. Because the first in line to record the deed wins. Because what happened was we got notice that this seller, this drunk, sold the property to 2 different people, us and someone else. And they had done a real closing and they had already closed and I'm sure they sent their deed in to be recorded. But we know it takes a few days for Brooklyn to actually record the deeding process. But the law in New York is the first to record without notice of someone else buying the property wins the case. So by getting there at 6 a.m, even though we know about another closing, we got there at 6 a.m, we recorded it, and we beat the other buyer by 24 hours. Now, we were the first closing. We closed first. We just didn't record the deed. So we're the first to close in time without knowing about another party to close. Even though that happened, and even though that we closed first, I'm worried about this case because, we know there's going to be litigation and they're going to have a free title company. At the time, this is 2002. I didn't represent any title companies yet. And I'm at the property and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And, everything's in chaos. We recorded the deed, then we head to the property. And all of a sudden, I see the new owner and he comes up to me. He goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And I said, "Well, my client owns the property. What are you doing?" He doesn't have an attorney. He's on his own. He goes, "Well, I'm buying the property. I own it." I go, "Actually, I think we have the first contract. We close. It's my client's property." So he punches me in the face. I go down, literally. So I figured I got him. I'm going to stay down, call 911, wait for the police to get there, and then trade, dropping all charges in exchange for him not going after the property. So New York City, 2002 is around the year. And how long does it take the police to come? I'm waiting a half hour on the floor, bleeding. There's no police. So, I could take a punch. I was born in Queens. I grew up in New Jersey, California. I could take a punch, but I'm trying to win a case here. So it didn't work. I get back up. The police never come. We try them again, never come. No police report. So we wound up litigating. We lose at the trial court and we win on appeal. And that actually makes new law. They changed the statute to be more clear. The first in time to record wins. We won an appeal. Ms. Rivas keeps the house. And the story gets even better. Her daughter, who now works in the court system, she was 10 years old at the time, says, as a result of that, I want to become a lawyer. She becomes a lawyer. She works at Borough Goldstein, and now she works in the court system. And she's a fantastic person. And she became an attorney all because of this case. So actually, good news. And we did the case. She couldn't afford our bill. So we basically did the case pro bono.
And you got punched in the face.
Right. And I got punched in the face. But I got really a great thing out of it. The title company wound up hiring us and was my client for the next 20 years. And still my client today. The title company, we beat the title company and wound up hiring us.
Mark, is this the first time you're hearing this one?
First time. I'm so glad I'm able to hear it because I've heard the Trump story many times. So this was good.
What are some of the most important changes you've witnessed, Adam, in real estate law, and what impact have they had on the profession over the last maybe 5 to 10 years?
So the biggest change was 2019 changed the rent laws because it really damaged our economy by taking away the deregulation of an apartment. In other words, if you move to an apartment a certain year, you're rent regulated. But they used to have laws where if you put in enough money after the tenant left, or if you got the tenant out, or you paid the tenant to leave, or you bought their lease, you could deregulate it and raise the rents to take it out of rent regulation. That allowed landlords to put money into the buildings. It gave people jobs, and that allowed inventory to open up. That allowed hundreds of thousands of people to get new apartments every year. Mm-hmm. Those apartments now are frozen. Many people are keeping them empty. Many people they're just not renting them out anymore. They can't even cover their expenses with it. So we don't have a housing shortage in New York. We just have a lack of housing inventory because of the horrible laws the state legislature has passed. So that's problem number one in my practice, is they got rid of a whole practice section, and tons of attorneys had to retire as a result of the change in the rent laws. It's a big change because the only, landlord-tenant court would be mobbed with cases of tenants not, using their apartments as their primary residence, or nuisance cases, or if they're illegally subletting, and landlords will bring those cases just to get the rent-regulated tenants out. Now, the co-ops will bring those cases, and the high-end properties bring those cases, but the average landlord doesn't care anymore. And now rents are higher than ever in New York City, so that's a real problem. The other big development in real estate, it was COVID, was the work from home.
Yeah.
And the work from home created a new dichotomy where we have some attorneys that are still working from home because of their age or because they have babies. We've always had that. But now it's more common where it's okay to work from home in the quote unquote world. It's acceptable because of the COVID era. And that is what that means for real estate is less people need an office. Less people needing office space is affecting our industry and the market. And then there's less people need offices, less people are going to need my services. What it's causing is less office space needed has meant more foreclosures for us. But at the same time, it's less leasing, it's less everything in real estate. So it's changing the real estate landscape.
Adam, could you tell us about the new New York City broker law that came into effect or that was recently passed?
Ronald Reagan had a famous quote, the 8 or 9 most dangerous words in English language. I'm from the government, I'm here to help. The government interferes with the free market and says, okay, no longer can a landlord pay a broker's fee for the tenant's broker. In other words, he banned tenant broker's fee unless the tenant actually hires the broker, which is very unfortunate. In other words, if you're looking for an apartment, you can no longer charge the tenant the broker's fee of 15% of the year's rent. But that's now a tenant can go ahead and hire a broker, but it can't be just an automatic thing where for you to get the apartment, you have to pay the broker. Now I can see some parts of the market where that's a good thing, but in most parts of the market, people coming in are not educated, and brokers play an important role in real estate. And if you don't know New York City, you don't understand parts of the city or parts of the market or where you should live or what's least expensive. Or I had this goal of being near a place where I could exercise, let's say Central Park, Upper East Side, or a place where I like to be near the coolest area, let's say Soho or Greenwich Village. Brokers know all that info. Street Easy doesn't give you that if you're Googling, apartments. I just think anytime you get in the way of the free market, it doesn't turn out to be a good thing. But that's what we're living with right now, and that's the law. And I just made that too complicated, more complicated than it is. That's exactly what everything that I believe in. We're supposed to make things simple.
What makes a great lawyer in your mind, and how can young attorneys develop these qualities early in their careers?
Well, first of all, there's the easy things to be a great lawyer, which is becoming as intelligent as possible, reading as much as you can about everything, having, really good writing skills, research skills. As very young, reading and writing is key. Knowledge of history is very important. The speaking well, but all those are, to me, and those are essentials for being a litigator, writing, research, speaking in public. But all those to me it's like taking a shower. If you take a shower, no one cares. If you don't take a shower, everybody knows about it. So if you can't write, and if you can't research, and you can't negotiate, then your client's gonna know that they're not gonna hire you. But once you have those basics down, like Mark does, then the question is, how much pain can you handle? Can you work late? Are you available morning to night? Are you returning calls and emails within 24 hours and hopefully, minutes or within a few hours? Are you personable? Are you available? Are you passionate about the cases? Do you treat them like they're your own? Do you care about your clients? Do you care about people that you represent or the companies you represent? And those combinations together, all those 25 things I just said, I think are the recipe for being a really good lawyer. Whether it's an extern, most of our externs become lawyers at the firm. If you look at our website, almost everybody in our firm is an extern here, and they've stayed ever since. We have revenue sharing. So if you work hard, you get a third of what you bill. That we collect. So it keeps people around. They're not staying here because of my good looks.
Yeah, partially that.
Now I doubt it. But I'm looking for something different. I'm not actually looking for any of those qualities. I'm looking for what makes you have those qualities. What kind of people have those qualities? So I grew up poor. I was born in Bayside, Queens. My parents lost their jobs when I was 5. Okay, so you go-getters usually are like Mark and I, where we didn't grow up with means. That's number one. So that's a given for us. Number 2, besides not being rich, I want someone that is aggressive, is a go-getter. And I don't care what school you went to. In fact, I don't hire from the Ivies right out of school. I want someone that is, top of their class. I'm a great top of their class at even the worst schools. But I'm very into competition. If you've competed in life, and they've graded you and you've done well, success, no matter how poor you think the school is, that is impressive to me. If you played sports like Mark did and you've done well, that's impressive to me. So we have a lot of former athletes who did well at 2nd and 3rd tier law schools and colleges that just did well. And I want to see your GPAs in your resume. And I want to see your honors in your resume. In fact, I got a text. I'm blowing up here so you can, that's the name, but it says they found a person of interest in the fatal shooting of the healthcare worker, horrible shooting.
Yeah, they already identified.
But my buddy wrote, who I went to law school with, he wrote, Ivy Leaguer, ! Could not work at the office of ALB. So they know what I'm looking for. So, we want smart, hungry, and ambitious. That's basically what
Yeah. That makes sense to me. All right. My final question is for you, Mark. The way Adam was talking before, it sounds like maybe real estate law might be getting a little dicey. Do you think he's lobbying to maybe join your firm? Would you hire him?
I certainly would hire Adam. I don't know if he would hire me because he already
denied you once
on me years ago. But I will say that as a young attorney, I've always admired Adam's tenacity and his vision and his resilience. His story always stuck with me as to how he started his firm and how he's grown his firm and the type of cases that he's handled and what he continues to represent in the New York City legal community has been nothing short of an inspiration for someone like me who, like Adam, started with very little means and had very big dreams and grew a firm in New York City. So I've always admired Adam from afar, and I'm so glad he was able to join us today on the.
I'm honored to be here, and you invited me, and I'll follow you anywhere, Mark. I watch everything you do. As you can see, I comment on your posts. When you post, I'm always encouraging you, and I think you're doing a phenomenal job.
I appreciate that.
There's tons of people that I missed out on that I regret, and I have tons of regrets, and not just that too few to remember, and no, I have too many I remember, and they stick with me, and you keep moving forward, you wipe yourself off, you get up and keep moving forward.
It's meant to be. You share it, right?
Sure,
so we all end up where we're supposed to be. So I'm grateful.
Exactly.
You gotta do it. You gotta believe.
Yeah.
But everybody ends up in the right place. Bashard is right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Millennial Lawyer Podcast with New York litigation attorney Mark Shirian. And thank you again to our special guest, Adam Leitman Bailey. We really enjoyed this conversation. To connect with Mark, you can visit ShirianPC.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and leave us a review in the comments. Mark, always great to see you. Adam, so great to meet you. Thanks so much for being with us and for all the insight and the great conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.